Welcome to Warfighter Sanctuary. Here, we talk with local veteran business owners, their military journey, civilian life, their business, and the services they offer.
I am the soldier's lost voice. Come on!
Lock it in and listen up. Here's your host, Andre Rivera.
Is this what they want?
All right, welcome to the Warfighter Sanctuary podcast. I'm your co-host, Justin Martin, and hosting today with me is Andre Rivera. We are sponsored by the Veterans Resource Network of South Florida, also known as VETRENET. Today we're going to be talking about several subjects, mainly the purpose behind and the format behind the Warfighter Sanctuary podcast, and also the purpose behind the Veterans Resource Network of South Florida and VETRENET. We have an express goal in mind to bring veterans together in the community and to support each other, help each other with business, help mentor each other, and create a sense of tribe and belonging that we once had when we served. So Andre, why don't you give us some more information on the podcast and on VETRENET?
Outstanding. Thank you, Justin. That was a great intro. Yes, so let's talk about the purpose of this podcast first. So the way we always envisioned it, the way I envisioned it, the podcast, the purpose of it is we don't just want to be here talking. We want, like you just said, where the purpose is to bring the community together. So this is not Andre and Justin's, I want to see myself on TV and I love to hear the sound of my voice and I love to see myself on TV, right? So this is to bring the community's voice, South Florida's veterans. We have some veterans here in South Florida that are doing phenomenal things. We got some guys with so many different nonprofits. And like I always talk about, when we talk about veteran anxiety, depression, and suicide, I don't think there's a silver bullet out there that is the cure-all for everything. But I think that every little thing has a slice. Jiu-jitsu, fantastic. I think jiu-jitsu is actually a big fat slice because it was very helpful for me. But for example, jiu-jitsu, equestrian therapy, that was very helpful for me in a very dark time in my life. And so I think there's a lot of different small slivers, but they're like band-aids. If there was the biggest silver bullet, a sable round, or a salvo from a freaking 5-inch naval gun, it would be business. And I think I don't think business is the only solution with that said. I just think it's the best solution for veterans leaving active duty. And when I say business, it doesn't have to be business. It could be a professional career. But the key element is purpose. Veterans need purpose because when we served, we had purpose. And before we served, we sought purpose. That's why we enlisted in the first place. We sought something bigger than ourselves. And I feel that need doesn't go away, doesn't dissipate when we leave the military and transition to the civilian sector. If anything, I think we grow a bigger hunger for it, but that hunger is never satisfied. Like we never find that tribe again. We find a couple of friends and we'll do a reunion, but that's not the tribe. When I say tribe, I mean like, not that we, on the birthday, because on the birthday, the Marine Corps birthday, which is coming up,
yes.
And I hope everyone's coming out to that, we always get together and a Marine you've never met in your life will become your best friend that night.
Exactly.
But you're never going to see him again. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a place where his name would be and his business that he represents, or if he was running a nonprofit and we could find each other again. Yeah. And then we can force multiply our efforts because whatever he's doing, maybe I can help. Maybe I can't, but maybe I know about it. And what am I talking about there? Network.
Exactly.
Network. So maybe I don't have the solution, but I'm like, hey, so Juddy, you're a musician? Okay, cool. I'll keep that in mind. And I run into this guy. Hey, I'm a producer and I'm looking for a guitarist. I'm like, oh my God, I know the perfect guitarist. And it's not just because he's my friend. This guy's actually talented. I'll show you some YouTube videos where on our directory, we have his YouTube videos with his singer. He's got phenomenal singers. He's like in 3 or 4 bands. Yeah. Pick your kind. You want blues, you want rock. He's got everything. You want pop. Don't you? You do a little bit of everything. You even do dance. You can do
quite a wide variety of music.
So that's a perfect example. So I go, so that's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build that tribe here. And my vision has always been that this is a pilot program here in South Florida, and that this is scalable, absolutely scalable. We can be scalable right now.
Yeah.
We have the capability. And it's because of you and those that started VETRENET that we were able to raise the money to buy a lifetime license, which I shouldn't be telling everybody. I should be like, hey, we need money, please donate. But that's the cool thing about VETRENET. And I'm switching gears a little bit now, but I guess it's okay to talk it all about, as long as it all makes sense.
Well, one thing I want to point out real quick, because as you talked in the intro there, yes, we have a mission and a purpose to help out veterans. Sometimes veterans that might be suffering and going through a hard time in life, but one of the things that doesn't get talked about often is that it's not always about people that are at their lowest point. There
Exactly.
could be successful veterans, and
There mostly is, I think.
yeah, and to approach it all the time as if all veterans are broken is a kind of a terrible thing. It's very off-putting. But with that tribe that we keep talking about, it could be a matter of they're doing great in their life, they're successful, but they can't really talk to their wife, they can't talk to their parents or their brother or their sister or their kids, and there's just that thing, that experience that they can't really relate to everyday people in their life. And at least with that common experience and that common bond we all share, we can just be around each other. It doesn't even have to be deep, sad talks all the time.
Exactly.
But just being
and
around
it
each
rarely
other's
is.
voice. Yeah,
It
exactly.
rarely is. Like when we get together, it's not like, hey man, remember that one time in Iraq? I mean, that is so rare.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost it's sad because it's the opposite. It's very rare when we do have those few moments where we do share things that are very personal. But most of the time, it's just being around each other is enough. And this is why you're here on this podcast. This is why I can't do it by myself, because I'm so glad you brought that up, because we have to also change the perception of veterans.
Yes.
That is, we owe it to the ones that are being successful. And the thing is, the ones that are successful, they don't usually flash the whole veteran thing. They'll mention it, but they don't flash the whole veteran thing. And it's not that I'm trying to flash the whole veteran thing, but I want us to be able to find each other. And I think that when we network together, we force multiply. I mean, we force multiply, and we can. And here's the thing: we all come from different backgrounds. I mean, we can sit here and talk about that for 3 hours, but we have common values. And I talked about this before. We have common values. We have standards, and that's one of the things why we're so great to work with.
Yes.
And that's why we get along.
Another point there that also kind of echoes the same sentiment is that we talk about purpose. Not living for just happiness,
No.
living for purpose. And you may have a great life already. You may have several wonderful things going for you. But I found this out recently too, is that having a new purpose, having a new mission, even if it wasn't my main career or my main job, but just having that extra purpose, or even finding purpose in something, resonated through every aspect of my life. And so what's already good, maybe even better. And you might find, more success, more joy through that purpose. And you're a great example of that with, you went through some rough times and you ended up in real estate, which is a path you never thought you would take. It wasn't where you planned on going, but you turned that into a purpose in life that was to help people realize the American dream. And that's home ownership. And I admire this so much that you actually took that and said, I want to serve my community again, even though I'm not actively in the military anymore and I'm not working for the government anymore. I want to serve my community. And you created a purpose and made a purpose. And
I appreciate that, man, because it was like I want to do it with the same dedication. And it's like you create your purpose. If I look at this like I'm a salesman, hey man, look at this house, look at the paint, woo, it matches. You should buy this. Don't worry about the floors. Oh, the AC, the roof, it's got a couple holes in it. Don't worry about it. We'll fix that right up.
a couple buckets, you'll be fine.
Yeah, it was like, no man, I'm going to work with the same integrity, with the same determination, with the same self-reliance that I did in the military. And I say that not to pat myself on the back, but to say like, hey man, I'm not by myself. All veterans are like that. Hey, or most. I'm going to say all. Let me not say all. We got our 10 to 20%.
Yeah.
But it used to be 10%, but now I think it's 10 to 20%. But you can take that, and that's the cool thing about veterans, because we still take the same values. Like, and I have so many examples. Like we have an inspector who is currently in the reserve, Ivan, and he's an officer.
Yeah.
And you talk about an inspector.
That
You know,
guy's-
I mean, like that.
He's good to go. He's good to go. He's
Good to
locked
go,
on.
locked on, squared away, and you want this inspector inspecting your house because he's going to make sure that it is by a officer, you know, a naval officer. Like, come on, man. And you're going to tell me that you'd rather get someone else? Like, why would you get anyone else? You're not. It's not to do us a favor. You're doing yourself a favor by getting this guy. And a lot of us are like that. We take our jobs very seriously because we're seeking purpose. But like you said, we're talking about when we talk about our business network. Most of us are successful. Most of us are doing well. But most of us trust each other, so let's do business together. But then the tertiary effects of that is that the ones that aren't doing good see us and go, man, hey, Andre, can you help me out with this? Absolutely. Of course. That's why I created this nonprofit in the first place, so that they know where to find us. Because that's one of the biggest problems, is that veterans just don't know where to reach. And there's so much out there. And then, you know, you call the VA, you call someone and you get off put. You know, you're already in isolation. You're already not a person that wants to be around it. And you definitely, certainly don't want to ask for freaking help. You know, you got to suck it up like you were trained to do as a Marine. And then all of a sudden now you're calling for help. So this is a way where you don't call for help. You just say, hey man, I'm thinking of opening up a business, Andre, and I saw that you guys have this nonprofit to help veterans. And I can be like, well, I can't do it for you, brother. What industry are you interested in?
Yeah.
Okay, we got someone in that industry. Let me put you in touch with him. You know what I mean? I'll connect you guys. I'll set up a schedule. We'll do a Zoom. I'll send you a Zoom. We'll do a 3-way Zoom or whatever, or just you two guys or whatever. And that's what we're talking about. Nothing magical. Just real simple. All anyone owes you in my network, because to be in my network, it's free, or our network. And that's the other thing. It's not mine. But I feel like it's mine because I created it. Together for no. But it's our network. But I want it to be so folks can come out and reach and find each other and be like, hey man, you know, can you help me out? You know, I want to do XYZ business. And I heard that you have a successful XYZ business in XYZ industry. Can you give me some pointers? Absolutely. To be in our network, it's free. It's no cost. The only cost it is that if anyone ever calls you, if a veteran calls you and he just wants some advice, you give him a 10 to 20 minute phone call. That's all you owe to be on our network. That's it. And I have never run into a veteran that goes, nah, I don't want to help any veteran that comes off of active duty with a 10-minute phone call. I never want to give him any guidance. That's all you owe. If more develops of a relationship from there, maybe you can hire him. That's between you guys. But all you owe is a 10-minute phone call.
You know, the beauty of this is that it's up to you to get what you want out of it. So what you put in and what level of involvement you would like is up to you. And you can either have, you know, incredible rewards, not just financially or in business, but just personally and emotionally from this. But it's not an obligation. But we talked about this in the very, very beginning, that veterans are an underutilized association.
Underexploited. Yep.
We don't work together for ourselves, and it's been kind of
When we were under the whip of the military, we were a machine.
Yeah.
We get out here, we're like, we're all over the place, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring it together so we can be unified, because it goes back to, man, if we have an army of veteran businesses working together, like, hey, I'm getting Juddy's going to get my roof squared away, and then I'm calling so and so, and he's going to come and he's going to inspect the house. And these are my boys, and I trust them, and vice versa. And we have this big army of folks like this. That's powerful. And we're doing good, positive things, you know?
Yeah, if people that graduated from the same college or went through or
Exactly.
part of the same fraternity, the same ethnic group or
the
religion,
Masons, the Christians, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they do this.
Yeah.
Okay, except the only difference is we actually risked our lives. You know, and the biggest difference is that we were inclusive of everything you just mentioned. We were inclusive of Jehovah's Witnesses and Muslims and Christians, and we all served together. My brother was Muslim. My biological half brother is Muslim. You know, we had Christians, we had everything, and we all worked together. But then when we come out here, now we just dissipate and break up into little. And what we're trying to do with VETRENET is bring us together, have that flagpole where we can find each other. It's not the solution for everything, but it's where we can find each other, because the main two things is purpose and tribe, and that's what that's going to be the theme for all of this podcast. And that brings us to the second part of the podcast. After 20 minutes of talking, the second part, but that's how it's going to go. The second part of the podcast is having the Blue Falcon shit show, which is basically, and we might change the name, okay? But so for right now, it's in good taste because it goes the Blue Falcon show. It goes beep, like it blurps it out. But basically, it's where we have the guest of the show, the business owner, the veteran guest featuring the feature. What do we call it? Yeah, the veteran owner, whatever. The veteran business owner or operator. He'll jump on, and then we just have an open forum. We go over a bunch of topics that we found that we do an analysis on. We don't just pull. I mean, some we might pull out of our butts because it's something that we personally want to talk about. We think that we have interest, but like again, we're trying to represent the community, so we'll use TubeBuddy and other analytical tools to find out what's trending on YouTube, and then get those topics, and then we're discussing those. I mean, I have a list here. And like, thank you for your service, the term "thank you for your service." What's our thoughts on that? Women in the military, border crisis, veteran suicide, school shootings, voting corruption, mail, homeless veterans, mental health crisis, reserve versus active duty. What else? So yeah. So we'll be talking about topics like that. And then we'll have, sometimes we'll bring up the same topic, but with different guests, get different perspectives. Yeah, because we're going to get, I'm sure we're going to get some veterans that lean to the left, even though that's not as common. I mean, what do you think? I don't think it's as common to have, I mean, I think you lean a little out of all of us that we're so far, I don't want to say far right. Yeah. Geez, that makes me sound like
I'm very centrist in a lot of
I think you are, but I think you're leaning left.
Well, I think it's because it's shifted. I'm old school Republican and conservative, so I'm back from the 80s, and that's where my ideals were shaped, and it's shifted a lot since then.
So you would say Reagan? Would you say you follow Reagan?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I love Reagan, man. Yeah. I dressed up as Reagan.
And
I went to school in the hood, dressed up as Reagan. You know how scary that is?
Yeah. and I really admired him. As I've gotten older and learned more things, I've learned that actually there was a lot of damage done to the country by him and by the Bushes.
Yeah.
But that's we can get into
Iran-Contra affair. Are you talking about the Sandinistas?
No, I'm talking about the college problems that we have right now with for-profit colleges.
Yeah, that's such a scam.
For-profit
and I got an
prisons. MBA. Yeah, for-profit prison system. That was the result of Reagan.
Yeah.
Under Bush, the civil forfeiture. We can't go after the drug guys, so we can go after their money. So if you get pulled over and you happen to have a large sum of cash on it, they can just confiscate it without any real effort, basically, and you have to fight to get your money back. So we can go down those rabbit holes.
But those are topics that we'll be talking about, and like we said, like sometimes maybe we'll be like, hey, Juddy, I know we brought this up 3 episodes ago, but now we got this guy, and I want to see his perspective. What do you think? Boom, and we'll throw it in there.
And I think that we can start when we start on subjects, depending on who it is, we'll go in a direction that it might go to an adjacent subject that's way off base, and then just goes down to another conversation. Yeah. But I cut you off earlier when you were when we were starting to get into this too, and you brought up paying for the lifetime license for the site, and we should be out here asking for money, but we're not.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's very important because. I think it shows the intentions and how honorable it is in that sense that we don't want the mission to become about money. We're self-sustaining currently.
Correct.
And
please, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, you did cut me off. And that's an important point.
Yeah.
Because we're not like any other nonprofit. Because like all other nonprofits, and this is one of the stigmas, like VFW, American Legion, Marine Corps League, which I'm a member of all of them, and I'm a lifetime member, so I'm not bad-mouthing them, but they're a different mission. And a lot of what they do and a lot of what they're based on is raising money. And I didn't want that for us. It takes me back to my favorite scene in Old School when he goes, and we will, and I promise, what does he say? He goes, and we will do no community service, this I promise you. And everybody's like, yeah! I go, and I know that sounds bad, but you know what? Veterans right now, I don't want to sit and spend a weekend raising money and then giving it to the Cub Scouts, the Boy Scouts, the ROTC. Guess what? Those are all great causes. Go get your ROTC people. Go get your parents of ROTC kids, and go do that. You want to clean the parks or whatever. Go do that. Unless it's veteran, at the center of it, like what the VFW just did with cleaning the cemetery. That's our mission. Because that's taking care of our brothers that can't take care of themselves. And I think that's an honor to clean the graves of our heroes, you know, and it's an example for the young ones, especially in a time like now. So that 100%, we're always down to do that. But to go out to spend a weekend and we're raising money for us because it's political, because next time they always donate to us, and man, we're not going to do that. We're going to do stuff for us. We're self-sustained. We paid for the license, so we have our directory. Now, if we can get more, if anyone wants to donate, we will never say no.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's always something good we can do with it. But
100%.
we're not going to say, hey, this weekend we're going to have a car wash. We're going to do this. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Our goal is to empower our community within ourselves. Exactly. If we can empower our community, then the ones that are doing well, like myself, I'm a real estate agent. I make some good money sometimes when I have some good sales. Hey, I can absolutely contribute to empower and then maybe help out another veteran that is transitioning and he needs a jump start. Maybe he wants to get into real estate. Maybe he needs help with his license. He doesn't have the money. I'm like, hey, and I'll take him under my wing. Teach him what I know, get him out there. You know what I mean? Or to a different industry. I'm just using that because that's what I do. But if it was something else, or my contacts in the government, I worked for the government for 10 years, and maybe someone comes off of intelligence, young Marine, he's like, man, I'm gonna go overseas to work security. I'm like, dude, you got a top secret clearance? You got a secret clearance? I can get you working in intelligence in Tampa or in DC or in Sierra Vista. I still have contacts.
Yeah.
That's the point of having this network. Just so folks understand, it's not about just jobs and business. It's more than that. Because along with that, we want that mentorship. Like, hey man, this is a part of our network. This guy you can trust. He's a good dude. He's a veteran, but he's also a member of VETRENET. You know, and at the end, if you're a member of VETRENET and you're a jerk, we can always remove you.
Yeah.
So there's always that, you know, which keeps everyone. But the whole purpose of wanting what we attract is people that want to help in the first place because they understand what they're getting into. It's like, hey, this is no cost. You have no obligation. You don't have to. You can be as involved or as little involved or as much involved as you want. It's an open door. I would love to have, just like you're volunteering your time. You know, I would love to have a crew of folks that are dedicated to doing this because this is really good. Because this is not smoke and mirrors. And I say that, but there's smoke and mirror nonprofits and there's nonprofits that do well, but it's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
You know, like hikes, great hikes, but are they saving hundreds and thousands of lives? No, they might save a handful of lives. You know, equestrian therapy, it's saving hundreds, but not, you know, in the hundreds of thousands of lives. I think getting veterans networked with business professionals that have contacts and can put you ahead of the line to meet the interviewer for a job, that is critical. You give that veteran stability and routine, you know, he'll find purpose and at least it'll buy him some time to, and then he'll won't have that anxiety, depression, and that potential suicide, which is a crisis that we're not talking about very often. You don't see it now with all the crap going on in the news with Israel, with everything that's going on. The last thing you're going to hear about is veteran suicide, even though it's on the rise and we're not even in a conflict.
I think it's, you know, the side effect of initiatives like, you know, the going on social media and doing 22 push-ups, which just in itself, filming yourself doing 22 push-ups does really nothing in effect.
But it brings awareness. I think it brings awareness.
But the side effect is that awareness. Now it's just so commonplace. Everybody's like, yeah, it happens.
It's like when people say, thank you for your service.
Yeah, it's just so
Gesundheit. It's like Gesundheit.
And
it's so empty. It is empty. And it's unfortunate because the intention, because I personally know a colonel friend of mine, and he does that. And I respect him for that, doing the 22 push-ups a day, because I think people don't do it anymore. He's still doing it. He's been doing it for years, man. I love that guy. So I still think it's good to bring awareness, but you're right. It's become where people just see it. They're like 22 a day, 22 a day. I'm like, man, it's so again, what you always say, I'm gonna steal your words now because you've stolen a lot of my words today. No, but I'm gonna steal yours, which is you always say, shit, and I forgot. Oh, you would say, no one's coming to help us. We got to do it ourselves. Mm-hmm. So this is us doing it ourselves, okay? Because the VA is not going to do it. The VA, after 20 years, it's not to bash the VA, because I think maybe they want to help. I don't know. That's for another day. But let's just say this: they haven't helped. All right. The bottom line is the VA has failed us. Because the suicide is still bad. It's getting worse, and the fact that we're not in a conflict, but it's still getting worse. The only reason it looks like it's dropped, if you look at the statistics, is because the boomers are dying. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's why it looks. You got to look at statistics carefully because they're very misleading. Yeah. You know, and they're saying that 22 a day is bullshit. It's more like 40 a day. Yeah. Because a lot of them are not attributed to veteran suicide, but a lot of them are car crashes. A lot of them are things where they were drinking, and they were like drunk in a car crash. Like and he was already suicidal. They find, like that's a suicide, dude. When you're living on the edge like that, that's suicide. And you know, because I think we've all been there, kind of as veterans. You know, I think we've all kind of been there. But anyway, not to deviate too much from what we're talking about.
Well, a couple things I kind of want to touch upon that rounds out some of what we were already talking about that really didn't get mentioned, and I think is important, is that on top of being a business, a directory of business veteran business owners and professionals that offer professional services, it's also VETRENET is also there to be a directory to find services that you may there are some good nonprofits out there.
Yes, there are some great ones.
And sometimes you don't know where they are. There are
Unified Dream. I love Unified Dream and what Jake's doing out there.
Tons of programs that may be available to you that you may not know. And like you said, it's hard. Not only is it hard for us to find each other and sometimes find answers after you go back into the civilian world of what direction you want to go. Sometimes it's hard to find programs and know where exactly to look, and they don't make it easy.
They don't make it easy.
That's another another aspect that I think it's kind of like an answer desk, a help desk that we're trying to be for the veteran community. That you want to know about this profession, you want to know about a job here, you want to you need work, you need to find Catch a Lift that helps you with weights, or some of these different programs and things that can help you out.
One place to find all of that. That's what we're trying to create, and we're working on it. So when we talk about we don't need funding, so let me take that back. Let me rewind that back. Well, yes and no. So as you know, because you were with me, we did fundraisers, and we were able to buy a life license so that we have this. And I shouldn't show everybody my cards, but it's because we want to be very transparent, especially because there's been nonprofits before that compromise their integrity and then compromise their honor and trust. We never want to do that.
To point out that there's no paid-in points. This is all volunteer.
Yeah, this is all volunteer. Trust me.
Andre is paying to play with VETRENET right now.
Yeah.
He is paying.
Yeah, exactly. Like the web developer, for example. I dropped $1,000 out of my pocket for a web developer, and we still did and the website is still not at where I want it at all. It's getting closer to where I want it, but we still need money for that. We have some, but those are things like we're always trying to improve. But are we functional right now? Yes. Are we self-sustained? Yes. Do we need anybody or anything to survive? Absolutely not. In time, when we grow, not if, when we grow, we'll be able to improve as we go.
We have a lot of interesting subjects that we're going to be talking about, and we touched on a few of them today, but I think right now it's important to explain a little bit more about the format for the Warfighter Sanctuary podcast, and also a little bit more information on VETRENET and how they both tie in with each other.
Got it. Okay, so yes, absolutely. Thank you for saying that, Justin. So, the format is going to be, we get this veteran, the veteran-owned or operated business will come as a guest. You and I will interview him. We'll talk, and the first thing he's going to talk about is, what services or products he provides, succinctly in a few minutes. That video, that short video, is going to be put on the directory. So when folks look for him after the podcast, if they want to hire him for pest control, for inspector, for real estate agent, for insurance, for whatever it is that he offers, which is we have over 70 veteran-owned and operated businesses, so it's a bunch of them. They can see who he is, and it humanizes that veteran, and it shows them who he is. They can follow him on social, so they get to know who this veteran is before they even get to meet him in person, and they've seen the podcast. Now there will also be links, so if the person wants, if a potential civilian that wants to hire this veteran, they can see the longer format videos where we'll have the longer portion of the interview, which will be his talking about his transition from the military to the civilian sector, what kind of challenges he ran into, starting his business, getting to the profession that he got into,
what inspired him,
exactly, what he learned, or her, or his traits. What characteristics in the Marine Corps or the military helped him, shape him, or prepare him, or didn't prepare him, or failed him. Both. And this is because I think that's important to understand. And again, because our purpose is to help the veterans that are transitioning to the civilian sector. We felt alone. I know I did when we got out here and try to find each other. So we're trying to make it. That's what we're trying to create so that other veterans don't have to go through that. And when folks see, for example. And I love this concept because you go to this director, let's use Alex as an example, and you go to hire him. He's a web developer. You go hire Alex, and you have a picture of him before. He's in a ghillie suit. And you see a picture of him now, and he's really professional, clean cut, and then you have an interview of him explain what he does now. Yeah. And now you're like, wow, that's a real person. And he was a scout. Now he's going to talk about what he provides. Okay, cool. but I want to hear more about this guy. You click him. All right, so now he talks about the challenges in starting a business, having 2 young kids, doing all the different entrepreneurial stuff, and plus having time to be the vice commander of the VFW. You know, this is a great example. You know, he's doing all these other things in his community, helping. He just cleans the cemetery right now. He just went with a bunch of old veterans, which made me feel terrible about it. He didn't give me enough time to know. I found out in 2 days notice, but I would have been there too. And I told him that next time we'll go down there because it's an honor to clean the graves of fallen soldiers. Yeah. So he was doing that, you know? So if you're hiring someone for web development, real estate, whatever, wouldn't you want to know all these things about that person? Isn't that cool? And he's a veteran and he went to war and he's a scout sniper. I mean, like, wow. Well, what does being a scout sniper have to do with XYZ industry? Discipline. Patience. Control. I mean, incredible discipline at a different level. I mean, scout snipers are the best in the Marine Corps. I mean, we have some of the best scouts. Carlos Hathcock. You know, that's the godfather of snipers. And even Chris Kyle was the other day saying, hey, Carlos Hathcock is the best sniper. Well, it's a Marine. Yeah. So SEALs, Delta, remember that.
So in the entertainment industry, we call this an EPK, electronic press kit. So basically, it's a bio. Okay. It's video of your performance or your highlight reel. Okay. It's all these things combined that basically tell the story of who you are, what service you provide, and how, and what product someone will get when they hire you.
Exactly.
So that's basically,
and that's always been my vision. But I want to make it simple. So I want people to just that plan on hiring. So they'll just see, for example, I'm using Alex as an example. You go to the page, you see a picture of him in the scout sniper ghillie suit, and then you see him. Oh, you're like, whoa, who is this guy? Yeah. And then you can click it, and then he tells you in 1 to 3 minutes what he does and offers, if not less than that, right? And then another video, you can click that one if you want. If you're still interested in the guy, hey, I want to hear more about Alex. And then you find out he tells you about the challenges when he left from the Marine Corps for being a scout sniper. You know, that movie you saw 3 weeks ago, well, you get to hire this guy now. He ain't going to charge you extra either, although he should. He should. and then go, you know, I want to hear more about this guy. I want to hear about when he was a scout. Then you get another video, you click it, and he talks about when he was a scout sniper. He talks about his best shot. He talks about some funny story that happened with his instructor that made him embarrassed, or when they hazed him and they tied him to a flagpole and put 550 cord and, you know, and some parts we can't talk about right now. But you know, like that story, that humanizes him, it shows who he is, and I believe that that's the way to go. So that's the vision. That's the whole purpose of everything we're doing here. And then of course, community, tribe, purpose, you know, that's our message.
I just had I chuckled just now because I had a funny thought when you were talking about you should charge more. Yeah. So I imagine a customer going, hey, what's this BAM surcharge on there? Oh, that's the badass motherfucker surcharge.
Or the broke-ass Marine surcharge.
Either one. You can go either way.
Oh, man. That's funny.
That's funny stuff. But yeah, I think, I think this is something that is desperately needed, and that's really outside of the solutions that have really come up. Exactly. And there are some, like you've mentioned, there are some other people that are seeing this now and starting to.
There's a lot of nonprofits, and I'm all for them. And that's the other thing. And I'm sorry, not to cut you off. Please hold that thought, but I want to make sure that I state this because I've seen like other veteran business networks coming up. Dude, we are not in competition. Please join us. I'll join yours.
Exactly.
But you know what I'm finding though? No one thinks like that, just us. So we'll be.
So all you guys out there, stop hating.
Stop hating. Stop participating. So, don't be hating. Participating. So it's like I am open. I will send every veteran group. I will send folks to every veteran group, and you can post on my. Like I was just in a group or something. I'm not going to mention their names. They're charging me $100 a month to be a part of the network. So this month I had to write to them. I'm like, bro, I love what you're doing. But I'm doing it for free. And it's like, I was paying $150 a month to keep that license. So now I'm paying, I gotta stop. I'm sorry, man. I like what you're doing, but I'm not gonna pay, because come on, man. Do you really gotta charge veterans $100 a month? No. So that's why our whole thing is like, I wanna help veterans. Now, I feel in time, but that's down the road, if our veterans are doing well, we can work something out. The successful veterans, like me, if I'm doing well, and things pick up, of course I will donate. As I have in the past, I've donated thousands to this nonprofit, So,
I mean, there's definitely down the road, there are so many things that we could do and see and envision and act.
Well, let's switch gears.
Some money.
Well, let's talk about that. So, my vision was I briefed the Warfighter Sanctuary, the name of the podcast, back in 2018. And the whole purpose was originally it was a center for physical fitness, mental health, just for a place for veterans to go to for yoga, for physical fitness, for positive things. And the element that's most important is for business and success, a podcast area. So we don't have to do this in my living room.
Yeah.
A gym fitness area. So I don't have to have a gym. Yeah. So I don't have to have a gym in my living room, a fitness area. So, an office area with fax machines and printers and laser printers and colored printers, we don't have that.
Video games.
Networked video game. Well, that's not the business area first.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk on business first. So my vision is a place for business, a place for success, a place for presentations. So where we can get together, but we're talking about how our businesses can help each other, how we can network, whatever, but with purpose. Because too much we have these other facilities that are about drinking and raising money for other people. I don't want to spend my weekends. My time is so valuable. If I'm going to spend my time, it's going to be to help my community. And at the same time, there is a little self-interest, but you're helping veterans too at the same time. Isn't that great? Isn't that great when it works both ways? Like you're helping yourself because you're building your network, so you're empowering. Like, man, I got a guy for this. I got a guy for that. I got a guy for all of these things, but at the same time, I'm helping them. But they're helping me too because I can count on them. Like that's a great, powerful network, and it's self-serving, but it's also helping. Two shots with one stone. I can't even think. How do you say it? 2 birds with one stone.
Yeah, kill 2 birds with one stone.
Kill 2 birds with one stone.
I think one of the, you mentioned it with stuff that doesn't center around alcohol and bars and stuff. So I think what we're trying to combat here is the Al Bundy effect.
What's that? I'm not aware.
We don't want to be consistently the guy that is forever stuck in that place where they scored 4 touchdowns in high school and never progressed. And you sit around drinking, talking about
Uncle Rico
glory, and
for Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, it's like
coach would have put me in the third quarter.
and it's at some point or other, it's going to always end up being depressing because you're not moving forward, you're not progressing.
Exactly.
And anything that doesn't grow, progress, or improve, or learn, or anything like that is just going to be stagnant. And
exactly, and that's what we're finding. Like in these facilities, you go there, and these sad guys are sitting around the bar, and the ones that don't. I mean, how many times people join, but then they never go. They go for a couple times, and like, all right, I get what this is all about. You guys come here, you sit around, you drink, you talk about sports, you talk about whatever. It's really boring. And I think today's modern warfighter, we're into fitness. Let's ride our BMX bikes down the water. Let's go to the beach. Let's do a hike. Like the hikes are cool. Like I said, I like the hikes. I think they're great. Do I think they're the solution? Hell no.
It's temporary.
It's a Band-Aid, but it's great. And I'm all for it. But I really don't think that's solving suicide. I think what's solving suicide is having our network together, tribe and purpose. Real simple, man. Our mission is real quick. VETRENET, tribe and purpose. If you forget everything at today's podcast, it's tribe and purpose. Yeah. But with that said, so we briefed the Warfighter Sanctuary, which is a facility which focused on business, but like you mentioned, we want it for fun too. And it goes to those folks that have been deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, but actually just stationed overseas. MWRs, morale, wellness, recreation. Every base has one. When we leave the military, we don't have that anymore. It's bad enough we lost our clearances, we lost our careers, we lost our homes, we lost when you leave the military, but you also lose your MWR. Wouldn't it be cool to have an MWR in every major city, but with a focus on business? So a place you can get together with veterans, like, hey, I'm going to have a podcast area Thursday. I'm scheduling it. You can have it this time. We all have different podcasts for our different businesses. Then we have a business meeting every week or every 2 weeks or once a month. All the real estate people, all the electricians, and they're going to meet there. It's not just one group of veterans. It's going to be. It's what we make it. A BMX crew, a biker. You ride a Harley. Yeah. And you're a musician.
Yeah, musicians.
Wouldn't it be great to find some other veteran musicians, a kick-ass freaking drummer,
like a little jam night and stuff like that. There's so many.
And we would have a facility that would have the sound set up for that. Like jujitsu. Jiu-jitsu will be huge. Have to have jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Weightlifting, fitness. Have to have fitness. Like you mentioned it, 10 Xboxes, 10 PlayStations, 10 TV sets. They're cheap these days, $400. Back in the day, they're $2,000. Now they're $400 for a 65-inch TV. We're gonna have 10 of those. Okay, because that's not expensive. And let me tell you something. Some of the funnest times. I spent 4 years in Iraq, by the way. For those that don't know, 4 years in Iraq, and some of the best, funnest times were playing video games with, not by myself, not sitting there like a zombie, like we do now. I had more fun over there when it was 4 real people talking shit for 4 hours, killing each other between me. And then we'd go on a Humvee and then go on a real mission to potentially die and kill people. but after we cleaned our vehicles, after we did everything, it was like, hey man, let's go play some Halo. And we had so much fun, Well, this I did because I used to beat the whole team.
That's important because it's not everybody's going to need the same thing. Like I'm into video games, but I don't play them. You know that. I rarely do.
Yeah, but no, I'm all about it because it was an escape. I mean, we're in a Humvee, man. This is in 2003, 2004, where their IEDs are killing people left and right, and we have no armor, no doors, and we're in Humvees. Okay, so when that's all done, there's no escape. But when you play that game and we're jumping around, shooting each other for a couple of hours, man, that's an escape. That's an escape from reality that was much needed because you're not thinking about anything else. It's therapeutic. There's nothing bad about it. Only like with everything, like overdoing even water. You could die from drinking too much water. So that's proof. That's the example I use. Too much of anything will kill you.
Guys.
Yeah.
I'll see you back in Paris Island.
That's right.
Put a canteen over your head.
Yeah. Even oxygen. Too much oxygen. So too much anything is bad for you. So same thing. Yeah. So we talked about the Warfighter Sanctuary, which is that is the dream. That is the long-term 500-meter solution. One day, if this thing is to grow, that would be our objective if we can make that happen in time. Yeah. But for right now, just having a directory, so we have a virtual aspect of it, like an avatar of my net. And that's how I envision VETRENET. VETRENET is a virtual space avatar of the Warfighter Sanctuary. Because the way I envision it is we can put job posts there. Employers seeking positions can put it there. We can have a carousel of pictures, of photos of the things that we're doing, and a calendar of events of upcoming events. So it's like a virtual space of Warfighter Sanctuary. And to keep this all alive and kind of together, we have this podcast. Yeah. And the podcast has a purpose. It's not just like to talk. We're going to use these interviews and we're going to put them in the directory. And the dream is to have this entire directory filled with all these short videos and interviews of all these veterans that own these businesses, so local folks can get to meet them because they would be interested in knowing. And I think they would be more apt to hiring veterans if they knew their background. Like, to know like, hey man, you're an infantry Marine. You did Arctic training. You grew up in South Florida, but you went to New York. You ride a Harley. You're a musician. It's not to brag, but he was an infantry Marine. He had a march 10 to 20 miles with 50 pounds to 100 pounds on his back. This is the guy who you may potentially hire to do XYZ in your house or XYZ at your business or XYZ to your car or whatever the hell. Like, yeah, this is a different type of individual. Someone who saw something bigger than themselves. Give this guy a shot. He's from South Florida. We're not the elite. We come from blue collar families. Yeah. We're you. We're your sons and daughters. And you love us every November 11th. We're trying to make us. When there's a parade, hey, how about you always say thank you for your service, like it's Gesundheit. How about
like the sign in the background says?
Hiring no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hiring a veteran is thanking a veteran.
That's right. Hiring a veteran is thanking. There you can take some action, which is a sneaky way that I do, which is a little gimmicky. Now I don't say gimmicky, but I kind of put people in L ambush. Because I carry my business cards, which are just that. It says, hiring a veteran, thank you for your service. And when anyone says that, they say, hey, thank you for your service. And it's always like in the middle of talking. It's like Gesundheit. They're like, and then something like, oh yeah, because when I was, I got injured or something. And they're like, oh, thank you for your service. I always say, hey, do you really mean that? There's only one answer. They can't say no. They can't be like, well, I just said that 2 seconds ago, but I didn't really mean that. So there's only one answer. It's like, that is checkmate. Yeah. When they say, thank you for your service. Oh, I cut them off. You see me. I bust out my card. I go, they go, do you really mean that? They say, yes. I go, well, if you really mean that, the best way to thank a veteran is to hire a veteran. And then I give them the card. And they always say, I love that. Yeah. They never go, oh, that sucks. I don't know if they're just bullshitting me or not, but it works. And don't you have that in the back of your business card? And I urge everyone that's a member of VETRENET to put that, they can have that logo and put it in the back of their card if they want. If not, but I think it's really cool because I think people will hire you and I always tell people, it's different when you say, hey, I'm a veteran and I did this in Iraq and I did that in Iraq or I did this. It doesn't come across good. You always sound a little, you sound like, like you're grandstanding yourself. Yeah. And it's a lot different when someone can say, hey, you did this, you did that. It's a different way to look at it. But because it all comes from a genuine place. But with that said, okay, so that's enough of Warfighter Sanctuary. I think folks get an idea of what that is, and we'll be talking about it. It's going to be a theme is going to be purpose, tribe, and Warfighter Sanctuary, because we do want a clubhouse. We believe that our veterans deserve a clubhouse that's not surrounded around alcohol, or that's centered around alcohol, that's centered around raffles, that's centered around raising money. Man, I work full time. When I have time, I want to hang out with other veterans. I'll make time to hang out with other veterans, but I don't want to make time to hang out with other veterans to raise money for other people. I don't even want to raise money when it's for ourselves. I'd rather do other things. I'd rather it's the worst. And then people wonder, well, what veterans are always asking for money. That's why I don't want VETRENET or Warfighter Sanctuary to be asking for money. Like, again, we'll accept donations, but we can survive. We're self-sustained, and our mission is to just network and grow as a community. That's it. We're good right there. One day, Warfighter Sanctuary may be a possibility if things start happening, but right now we have everything we need, which is each other.
I think it's important right now, based on that last statement you just said, to align that, to point out some metrics that we can show that something actionable has happened. And there's already been several examples where I know you've funneled a ton of business to people in the network, and helped them out with your connections and vice versa. But there's also some other effects too, where there's been some veterans that we've helped that were on the verge of suicide, that had no purpose and were a little lost. Money wasn't the issue, because they were disabled, but they didn't have a purpose anymore, and it was just through association and meeting some other people and having them try new things that it made a dramatic effect on them, that completely turned things around, and they've got something they're excited about and looking forward to doing every day. And
it was through our network.
Exactly, and that's an important point, that we have had measurable success at this point.
Absolutely, and we got to get better at documenting our successes, because then if not, it's just us talking rhetoric. But we have effects on target. We've saved lives. We can say, we've saved people, and we've improved lives, and that's what it's about. But our work is not even close to being done. We're not even starting. The way I look at it, we have to really grow this, and I think we're starting out with this podcast, because this is one way to get a following, so people can see our goals, what we're trying to accomplish. And the more people know about it, the more it can get realized. But I believe we can do it. I believe we have enough patriots here in South Florida that we can make this work.
That wraps up another episode of Warfighter Sanctuary. Thank you for listening. For more information on VETRENET and the businesses featured in this podcast, be sure to check out our website at VETRENET.com. That's www.Victor Echo Tango, Romeo Echo, November Echo Tango.com. Become a Patreon subscriber and get VIP access to the Blue Falcon Show, where we continue the interview with their unfiltered thoughts on a range of topics. Some serious, some trivial, always entertaining. Like and follow our Facebook page to join the community at facebook.com/groups/VETRENET. Intro music provided by Army veteran Sabo of NSA Entertainment. Post-show music provided by Marine veteran Justin Martin of JLM Entertainment. Voiceover provided by Marine veteran Mark Denstead of voicedbymark.com. Until next time, remember, hiring a veteran is thanking a veteran. Thank you for your support.